Welcome to Dating History. Here we take a historical male figure and break down his personality and relationship patterns because while he might have been an accomplished writer, he also might have cheated on you with your friend. In school, we were told to forget about their relationships and focus on their genius. Here at Dating History, we say forget about their genius. Let's focus on their relationships. Because does it really matter if they shaped literary history if they were mean to the women around them?
This week, our topic is Ernest Hemingway, the original rugged outdoorsy guy who wrote beautiful sentences about men being sad in boats, but could not emotionally show up for a single woman in his life. He was a tortured genius, so we're about to dive in.
Joining a wall of tortured geniuses.
There he is. He was hot, though.
And this
unfortunately
week is a very special week because we have our wonderful friend and comedian, Caroline Timoney.
Yay! Hi, you guys. I'm honored, so thrilled to be here. I feel a little bit like I've never read Hemingway, and I feel like I didn't prepare for class. There's part of me that I know I'm not supposed to know too much about him, but I'm like I should be looking something up on my phone or writing something down on my leg.
What is in the most general of terms, when you think Hemingway, do you have thoughts? Do you have any initial impression? And the answer can be no.
I feel like Hemingway, it's just such classic literature. I just imagine that. I also did listen to another podcast about Hemingway to prepare for this, so I know
homework.
Fun facts about him, and so I have
my god, you did do homework.
Well, I did the classic me, which is cramming. Yeah, which is on the way over, fuck. So
I will give my disclaimer at the beginning, and be honest about who I am and where I'm coming from on this, which is that I haven't read that much Hemingway, but I did have the classic English student experience, which is that in 10th grade English we read one of Hemingway's short stories, which was Hills Like White Elephants. And I don't want to say it changed me, but it changed me. And so after watching the 6-hour Ken Burns documentary and reading the Martha Dearborn biography, I now view him as a complicated man. But was I affected by his art? Sue me. Maybe a little bit. The interesting Hemingway thing that comes up with so many writers is they write the most beautiful love story, even if it's sad, or they write the female psyche impressively well, and then they throw shit at women, and you're like, what? Why would you? They write gentle, careful accounts of what it would be like, and then they yell at their kids, and you're like, why can you do this one thing and not the other? But
and then they're like, that was so hard to write. And it's not because it's was physically hard to write. It's because they're I had to imagine a lady who I'm nice to.
Okay, so a little bit of background on Ernest Hemingway. He was born July 21st, 1899, which makes him a
Cancer, just like me.
Sensitive boy. He had a Midwestern upbringing. He, at 17, got his first job, which was working at a newspaper at the Kansas City Star. So he started as a journalist right off the bat. That newspaper had a style guide that was write short, factual sentences, don't use adjectives, don't exaggerate. And I think that maps almost perfectly onto how his writing ended up being. He obviously ended up using adjectives, but he certainly did not write superfluously. He had...
Because journalism's so practical and to the point that he probably, that was ingrained in his head.
Well, and also it's concise. He had 4 sisters, 1 younger brother. I believe he was the second oldest, and a mom and a dad. And his mother wanted to be an opera singer and then wasn't. Whoa. But she gave singing lessons and music lessons, and she actually out-earned the father. And so the dynamic in the house that he grew up in is that the mother was making more money, and he viewed this as she was emasculating her husband. So he had all of this resentment around his mother because he was like, you made too much money for your family. How dare you? But part of the problem is that she didn't really want to be a mom. And women who don't want to be moms shouldn't be moms, because then all of her kids were it seemed like she didn't want to be a mom. And it's true. She didn't. Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. You're actually reading that perfectly.
Was Hemingway a little bit of a rich kid?
Okay.
Because
And
his
thank you for
whole
asking that.
Hemingway's whole brand is a poor, you know what I'm talking about, like a poor tortured
This
poet.
is giving like the classic LA story of a kid who's
gonna say
you
that.
find out so late on. You're like, why do you just like never? You just kind of always hang out, but you're like broke technically.
You're
like,
unemployed, but I've seen your Los Feliz apartment and someone is paying rent on
right,
that.
you had me Venmo you $1. That was crazy.
Don't even get me
Yeah.
started.
He loved his origin story being he was broke. He loved, and then he was
Yeah.
when he moved to
He
Paris.
rewrote history.
He said that he and his first wife were like absolutely slumming it, had no dollars, and then
Liar.
in the biography and in the documentary, they're like, then he went on a ski trip, and you're like,
Right.
Ernest, like
He went to his country home.
I feel like, you know how guys like in LA, film guys will have like a very old vintage beat up car, like a
Yeah.
Volkswagen, and it's such a like a rusty, rugged looking car. There's no AC, there's no heat, and it smells like leather and it's gross. But it like cost more than a Tesla because it's like an old antique car.
Yeah, what they're not telling you is like they got a flat tire and it cost $7,000 to fix it somehow.
because those
the
wheels
most
are not
niche
anywhere.
tire. Wait, that's something in adulthood that I was like, what do you mean all tires are different?
Oh,
I was like,
nightmare.
but it's a tire. And then they were like, no, some tires go on some cars. And okay.
But
Judgmental faces staring back at us. So
this is
I was looking
cyberbullying.
for yes or no answers.
You're
no.
live
Can I say one more thing
cyberbullying.
about the tires, though? It's not just that there are different tires. It's that there's different prices for the same tires for the same cars. That's more what I'm saying. So, like, did I realize that all cars have different tires? Maybe not. But did I also realize that within your one car, there's like 20 options of the different tire to get for the one car? No, I also did not realize that. And I was shocked when that was something that I had to decide. And I was also shocked in the price.
Katie and
But it's
I
just
are
rubber. Like, how could it? Do you know what I mean? Like, my
Totally.
tire was $300 to replace.
yeah, same.
How,
It's
that's
ridiculous.
not worth that, right, team? Right, boys?
Goodyear, you know, you got a whole lot of rubber making those blimps, putting them in the air. Are those made out of rubber? Also, what is a fucking blimp? Can anybody who's listening to the podcast let me know? It's a big puffball in the sky. What the hell is it doing up there? Is the mayor up there? What's going on?
Karen Bass is up there. Karen, we see you. We know you're up there.
She's rolling around drinking cocktails in the Goodyear blimp. What else is she doing?
That's actually where Karen was during the fires, up in a Goodyear blimp.
Well, that'd be dangerous to be in a blimp during fires.
Yeah,
What with the
that's
helium?
why she came down so fast.
What was that?
Goodyear. What the hell is a
Blimp
Goodyear?
tragedy. You guys know about it? What was it called?
Blimp tragedy?
Yeah, the famous blimp tragedy.
I feel like there shouldn't.
Hindenburg.
It sounds like he had a pretty normal, comfortable life. I mean, who's to say? We don't really know.
I
And
think his dad ended up killing himself. Yeah.
He did. With a gun. And then his mom gave him the gun that his dad killed himself with.
Hate.
Yeah.
How?
But
Do you know
she
how
did it
old
because
he
she was
was?
like,
insane.
What?
Was he a writer by then? Like, was he like out of the house and stuff?
he was out of the house and he also killed himself with a gun.
Right.
Spoiler alert. Not the same gun, but he also killed
It's
himself.
public knowledge.
So he's long gone, but his dad had really bad depression. They didn't call it that. His mom called. I also think it's funny the like 20th century euphemisms for depression because they're all like the big bad wolf came to visit me today, or like the dark cloud of feeling low. Really big part of like the Hemingway like mythology of everything is that he goes and he works at this newspaper, and then at 18 he's got bad eyesight. At 18 he volunteers for the Red Cross and he goes off to war, and that thus he gets a huge amount of his inspiration, certainly for A Farewell to Arms, and then many of his future books are written with the context of war or characters who have been to war. But he's 18 years old, no college, skips college completely, has a chip on his shoulder about that
Oh yeah.
forever.
I feel like he was born at such a specific like year for someone to be like a young person during both wars. Like that's a very anxious and energetic time to be like, it's such a, I don't know. He's a very like singular writer. And I think like so much of it is tied to the exact like year span he was born.
I totally agree. I also think, like, I know there's the very commonly repeated joke of like men used to go to war, blah blah blah, but I also think it's like such a sort of like hack of like, if you're a young man, if you're 18 years old during World War I and you're looking to self-actualize, it's kind of a like clear. It's presented as this shortcut for like become a person, go to war. JFK also went to war.
And
like,
there was so much political advertising and strategy pushing young men to go to war.
Yeah.
It was like the cool hot thing to
He
do.
also like didn't get in the military because he has bad eyesight.
Right.
And so like he's like trying to be this manly man. He's like got into all kinds of skirmishes abroad, but like at the end of the day, like he wasn't actually fighting because he couldn't. And like, so you have that own little, he has like so many little moments of insecurities too, where it's like, no, you did like serve abroad, like you volunteered, and like, that's good, but like,
yeah,
you didn't fight.
So,
exactly. It's the intention.
Yeah.
Important context. I could not stop. This is not the important context, but I could not stop picturing the scene in The Notebook where she meets James Marsden and he's like covered in bandages and then he turns out to be handsome and cool. And then that's the whole, B plot of The Notebook is that James Marsden is handsome and cool. Also, he seemed great. I was also kind of torn up about the whatever. But the reason I bring this up is that he goes to World War I. He gets hurt. He's in the hospital. Hot nurse.
Aww.
He
Cliche
loves
as old
it.
as it gets. Hot nurse. 7.5 years older than him. Engaged, but like her fiance is nowhere to be found.
Whoa.
Doesn't matter.
Wait, she was engaged?
She was engaged.
Kind of cool of him.
7.5 years older. She's
Badass.
got this like charming patient who's like smart and charming and like 18, 19.
And the dynamic is she's taking care of him at the time.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. No. Nurse patient. No.
Okay,
role
Phantom
play
Thread.
needed here.
Wow.
Yeah. And-
She's American.
Okay, Phantom Thread.
I believe so. I can double check that. But her name
Yeah, she's
is
American.
Agnes, and her name is Agnes, and she's the direct inspiration for the nurse of Catherine in A Farewell to Arms.
Oh, wow.
The difference
Crazy.
is that in A Farewell to Arms, like Catherine and the lead get together, and then they have that whole plot. In real life, Agnes was like, "You're young, and I think I love you a lot, but I do feel sort of like it's more like a mother to a son than like romantically." And he was like, "This is the end of me."
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
god.
his first romantic foray in is like nurse lady.
Were they ever like officially dating? Like,
I think they were like involved, but it seems that they did not consummate the situationship.
So that was his first like introduction to women. He was 17 and he was like
18.
He was 18 and he was like this victim playing a total
Yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis and Phantom Thread part.
I do feel like there's kind of no way not to have mommy issues though, because it's like, if they hate their mom, they have mommy issues, and if they love their mom too much, they have mommy,
Yeah.
it's hard to strike the perfect balance of the perfect mother-son relationship, but they certainly didn't have it.
it feels like he was like one of like kind of a bigger family, and like parents both depressed or like working a lot, and like he's just it doesn't seem like a very warm familial sitch.
It doesn't seem warm. He kind of needed someone to like really love him and tell him to grow up, but somebody he really respected. And no, he had everyone did seem cold in his life.
I think it was just deeply wasp. Like, I think it was just like, it was like they checked on all of each other all the time. They like couldn't leave each other alone, and they all deeply resented it. It was like this. It was like it wasn't that they were ignoring each other. It was that it was like all of this unsaid stuff, and it was that like people weren't being treated for depression in a way that wasn't like electroshock therapy. That's sort of what it all comes back to. We have so many women to get through this, so I'm just gonna rattle some women off. That sounds terrible. I'm gonna thoughtfully get into some of them. So because it is the early 1900s, he early 20s gets married. Obviously, what else would you do with your time? He meets a lovely woman named Hadley Richardson at a party in Chicago. She is wonderful. She's also older than him, which becomes a theme until it doesn't. Classic. They like older until they're old, and then they like younger. That's a theme.
That's funny.
They get together. They move to Paris. She supports him financially. He becomes part of the like writing scene in Paris. The Gertrude Stein, even the Picasso, becomes part of that whole scene. She gets pregnant. He starts to have a crisis because he's like, I'm too old to be a dad. He is, to be fair to him, 23. They get married. It's wonderful. They're together. His parents become very attached to her. She's considered part of the family. She births him his first son, a baby named Jack. They sometimes leave the baby at home with the cat while they go out to a nearby cafe. Different parenting techniques. Yeah, I know. Okay, Nana, I like in Peter Pan.
Yeah, it feels like a cartoon show.
Yeah,
That is so fun. It's funny to even mention the cat. Like, it's like, you left the baby alone. They're like, with the cat.
She's considered to be very much like, you know, his steady, kind, normal partner. And then they make friends with a lovely young woman named Pauline. And when I say they, I mean not just him. As a couple, they become friends with a lovely, feisty young woman who's known for being very witty. She realizes that something's going on, and she's like, hey, you are cheating on me. And he's like, oh my God, why are you bringing it up? And
Why
he's
was
like, no, literally, he's like, which is the same thing that Picasso did. There's a lot of similarities, except he's not quite as bad. But he's like, everything would have been fine if you had just like stopped bringing up the fact that I was having sex with someone else, and you made it bad because you brought it up.
Yeah. Like, you're cheating. Yeah. What do you mean? I'm cheating on you? Yeah. It's why are you making it a bigger deal than it needs to be?
It's actually such a downer that we have to talk about this now. Literally, he was like, "Oh,
okay, way to bring the mood down at dinner."
Really going bad now.
The way he talks about it is he's like, she seduced me. What was I to do?
No, it's never the man's fault.
He truly manages to be the victim in such a creative way where he's like, it's so painful to be in love with two women, you guys. You don't even get it.
Poor guy.
Yeah. He's like, no, I'm actually going through a lot right now.
My own heart too.
Yeah,
so,
literally.
First of all,
breaking my own heart. It hurts me to hurt them.
How does he feel about sort of his son? Because it's like, it's one thing if you're leaving your girl, but like if you're leaving your family, like feels a little deaf.
It's different when it's a man.
Well, the nice thing about being a dude is you can just make a new one, you know?
Oh,
so
real?
So they have two sons. The next wife and him have two
That's
children
so real.
together.
Wow.
So just, you know, got that show on the road.
As a father, like keep in touch with Jack?
Yeah, he keeps in touch with the I mean, clearly it's a different time just sort of like in general with parenting.
It's going to be a weird relationship.
He would bring his kids on like hunting trips where he like started drinking whiskey at 10 a.m. type vibe, and the wives were kind of like, you know, like what are you gonna do? The crazy thing about Pauline, or like the notable thing I should say about Pauline, is that from the beginning with this man, she is like, forget the kids, you are my priority. And she sells him on this so hard where she's like, my whole existence, unabashedly, my existence is to please you. I am focused on making your life better. You are priority above the kids. So she leaves behind a 3-month-old baby to go traveling with him with her mom. She's like, good luck.
The cat's back on the job. I feel like it's classic. Like, you know that he cheated with his wife to get with you, so you're like, I'm gonna be really good though, because that woman must have been crazy and a bitch, and so I'm gonna be a good woman.
He wanted, he can't leave me. I'm gonna make sure I'm perfect for him.
And you have to tell yourself that you're special, because otherwise, like, someone else is coming down the line. And spoiler alert, someone was. The crazy thing about
there's a pattern here.
She writes to his first wife, and she's like, Hads, get over it. You and me were friends. Like, because she was friends with her. She would vacation with the couple. So they all went on vacation together, the three of them. And people like to pretend that, like,
it sounds like
there were a lot of threesomes. I don't think there actually were. It doesn't seem like that. First wife is like, this sucks, before they officially get together. And she's like, you guys have to be apart for 100 days. And then if you still want each other at the end of it, fine. And they separate for 100 days, and then they write to each other, and then at the end of the 100 days they're like, no, we meant it. And she's like, that's tough, but okay. So she tries to call a bluff, and it doesn't really work.
Damn,
that's such an interesting little challenge she came up with. I do kind
of love that she was like, one last move.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like the losing last shot in the dark to get him back. Like, knows it's not going to work.
The same policy as like my mom wanting me to stop drooling.
Yeah.
You want it at the end, then you can have them forever.
He wrote a book that was then published as they were going through the divorce, and he said that she could have all of the royalties from that book. And everyone's kind of like, and what a prince.
It seems like he was seeking after the best possible woman, and I don't think he could satisfy that thought, and he like wanted the perfect woman, and he kept trying to get one, but he like kind of realized that he's just depressed, and it's not the women, it's him.
I think he just like wants to be dating too, like he just doesn't care for settling down in this way.
Well, also so many like people should just get married later. Like so many of these, like I'm not trying to, I find a lot of what he did really annoying, but also you're like, yeah, you were, that first marriage was supposed to be your like messy college relationship, not like your wife that you then had to get a divorce from. Like that makes sense. And also Hadley was like very much the first wife and kind of was like a normal lady, and Pauline was like significantly richer, and she had fancy clothes, and she was so fashionable, and she was like a younger model, like younger version, and she showed up and he was like, this rocks. And it was like, you guys should have just dated.
I feel like this is something we touched on with Picasso, where it's these men wanted a fellow artist, somebody who was impressive, but they also wanted a muse at the same time. And when she wasn't both all the time, he like, it drove him insane. And I think that he probably loved being with these writers, but maybe if she needed to take time to go write, he'd be like, what? You're not with me all the time and taking care of me all the time?
The interesting thing is he straight up told on himself in some of his writing. He said, men want someone new or someone younger or someone that they shouldn't or someone that looks like someone else. The better you treat a man and the more you show you love him, the quicker he gets tired of you.
Oh, yeah. That's good to know. Thanks, like Hemingway. Thanks for letting us know.
With all of these little relationships, you can tell anytime someone like it starts to get serious and they're like really consistently dating, and like this one woman is like, I'm leaving my 3-month-old. Don't worry, I'll be there for you. He hates that clinginess.
They're together for 15 years, married for 13. Him and Pauline.
Wow.
Yeah, they're together for a minute.
That's impressive.
She devotes her whole life to him. And then the really important thing here is that Pauline's uncle is very, very rich, and when they've been together for many years, and his uncle thinks that Hemingway is a great writer, and he's like, guys, I'm gonna buy you a house in the Florida Keys, like don't even worry about it, done, go pick out a house. And so Pauline gets to go pick out a house, decorate it. Budget is not an issue because back then there were a lot of wealthy sponsors sponsoring young authors' career, which let's bring that practice back. But anyway, so her family's shelling out money for them to have this really nice life. So her family financially supported him. She would leave her kids behind to go on trips with him. She was like, I'm obsessed with you. I will do anything you want. She would dye her hair colors for him. She would, she was doing all of this stuff for him. Didn't matter. He moves on to someone else.
Ugh. Mm-hmm. This man,
we all saw where that was
seeking
going.
perfection.
Nothing you can do.
A segment that we do is called Real Thing He Said. And at this time, like, as I said, a lot of writers were being sponsored by wealthy older men, and wealthy older men who thought that those young male writers were attractive. And so young, presumably straight male writers would just kind of throw their sexuality to the wind and hook up with these older rich men as a way of securing like a livelihood so that they could have writing careers. It was so common that Hemingway commented, the way to succeed as a writer is through the entrance to the colon.
Oh, whoa.
And that's the real thing that he said.
Oh,
crazy. He is in Key West, in the town where his wife's uncle has bought him a house. He's in this bar. This is why I was saying earlier, you could, in those days, you could just like be like, hey, where's Ernest Hemingway? And people would be like, he's probably in this bar, and you'd walk in and show up and he would be there.
That's so funny.
There is a young woman whose name is Martha. She used to have Ernest Hemingway's photo on her wall because she was like an English student in college. And she was like, he's a great writer. She herself was a great writer. She goes into this like slimy bar and is like, are you Ernest Hemingway? And he's like, yes, I am. Who are you, you young blonde thing? And she's like, my name is Martha. And they hatch a plan. She ends up going over to the house in Key West all the time, pulling the same exact move that the other one did, just showing up, hanging around with the wife all the time. And then she and Ernest are like, what if you and I went on a hot, sexy getaway and fell in love while we reported on the Spanish Civil War? And they go off to Spain and for 3 years are reporting on the war and they fall in love.
he does have good taste in women. I'll say that about Ernest Hemingway.
Really cool, ultimately.
Ernest Hemingway had good taste in women.
He says to Pauline, his second wife, well, you took me away from my first wife, and now she is taking me away from you. And he's kind of like, circle of life, baby. And she's like,
that's what you get for taking me from your friend.
Meanwhile, she's birthed 2 children for him. He now has a total of 3 sons.
Dyed her hair 19 times for
it
him.
Sucks that, like, he does always have that little grain of truth, though. It is like, honey, like, it was always going to be like that. And it's like, it's like, again, it's not right. It's not fair, but it is true.
Yeah. But I feel like instead of Hemingway being like, hey, you knew I was going to do this. You know, I have this pattern in dating. He was like, hey, you fucked up by taking me from another woman. Now you deserve for another woman to take me away. Instead of being like, you know my faults, you know my patterns, he's like,
it's a teachable moment for you.
This is your fault, ma'am.
Karma.
Is he getting bored with these women, or is he just trying to rebrand?
Something
what do you
that's
think
tough
it is?
about women is that
he was an alcoholic through this whole time.
Totally. A really like fundamental flaw of womankind is that they age, and I think that's really like what keeps it just and they all do it in a way that just is like kind of a design flaw.
I don't think I would have if I dated him. I would have just kind of
stayed put. Yeah.
See, I think that's the one thing women do wrong in history, and the reason men don't date them is that they get older.
She chafes under the pressure of being his wife, and also him being like, you should sit and stay at home. And she's like, so they've got like great vibes on the battlefield, and then when they're sitting in house together, they do not get along. So
wow, I feel like Hemingway was one of those guys that keeps dating these powerful, beautiful, extremely impressive women. And you see him, his track record, he's dating all these women and he's breaking all of their hearts. And you're like, how the fuck is he pulling these women? And then you meet him and you're like, oh.
Totally.
That's why.
Really charismatic. He has a way about him.
It's his face. That's why.
Mm-hmm. But I can see this being a new interesting challenge for him. Like each woman is kind of different from the last. Like this one, like it's fire with fire. It's not like bending to your every whim. He's like, this is a fun new challenge.
Their whole like relationship is a total of like 5 years, and it obviously like does not go well.
Is he bankrolling? I know like Hadley and Jack maybe got like some of the money from his first book.
Yeah.
Is everyone else getting money? Because he's a very, very famous author. So like,
while he was alive too.
Yeah.
Pauline is paying for everything, it would seem.
Okay, so like Eris. She's
and then when he wants to leave Pauline, he's like, oh, everything like has been getting paid for. And so then when kind of what he does is he like checks his watch and checks his bank account, and he's like, I'm out of money. And then he like writes something else because he's like, I need more.
Something I noticed about Hemingway's writing is that he wrote about heartbreak so often and so beautifully and so realistically. And it seems as though he knew so much about it. And
because he kept having so many wives.
Exactly. I think he kept initiating heartbreak. And I have a theory that Hemingway kept on breaking people's hearts and making his relationships dramatic and ending them and always causing problems and chaos in his love life because he wanted to have something to write about. And he always did have something to write about. And he always had really elaborate, beautiful descriptions of heartbreak in his novels.
One thing that's kind of similar about Hemingway to Picasso is Picasso was very like, every artistic movement and era needs to have a different muse. So like he had his blue period, and then he had Cubism, and they had different muses and important women attached to them. Hemingway basically did the same thing, to the point that F. Scott Fitzgerald said about Hemingway, every book a new woman. Whoa. I don't think that's inherently awful, like to be inspired by what's going on in your personal life. Or it's just like, don't manufacture ending marriages so that your next book can be good.
What do you
think?
think?
It's interesting that like I was earlier we were talking, I was like, I think he like always needs a new adventure. He needs something like I think he equally wants something new as much as like he's interested in the way things develop when he turns something old a little sour. Like that's also, there's an element of that too. It's not just always leaving behind everything else. Cause I mean, some of these women he has kids with too. So it's like, they're still like kind of in his life.
Totally.
So it's like, you know, seeing what that dynamic is like is also interesting to him.
Yeah, and making your life more complicated is interesting. It's like a math problem. I think his breakup with Pauline into his relationship with the war correspondent Martha really was inspired because he was like, I'm getting kind of bored. Like, you know, life was great. He was both in this very stable, long-term marriage with this woman who was like, anything you want, my love. And then he was like in this gorgeous, beautiful house in Florida. And he was like, nothing is that crazy. And he'd been in wars and he'd been like off on big adventures. And he was like, oh, everything is too safe and too boring. What am I supposed to write about? And so he broke up his marriage and went off to the Spanish Civil War and had a relationship with Martha and shook up his life and then started writing about it as such.
And of course, he prioritized his writing and his chaos over his mental health.
One thing that's interesting that Analisa touched on and that we touched on earlier is talking about like Hemingway fans or like any fans, right? Of like an artistic dude is I think sometimes when you idolize a dude like a Hemingway or like, you know, Jack Kerouac or one of these guys who's like got a whole lifestyle attached to their literature, whatever, you're not just idolizing who they are as a writer and the fact that they have great literary talent. You're idolizing bad behavior. And Hemingway had bad behavior. And that's the thing is I'm like, I love Hemingway's writing. Like, I think he is an astonishingly beautiful writer. And also he did fundamentally change what literature looks like. But you can like his writing without being like, and the dude, and, you know, and I just idolize the guy.
It's like the allure of bad behavior that you get away with.
Right.
And that's
Exactly.
accept, like publicly.
Exactly.
It's like not being like, even sometimes it's more than just ignoring the bad behavior. It's like liking that there is really public bad behavior that's like, oh, that's cool that like ultimately no one cared that much.
Exactly. Like, do you like Hemingway or did you want to live in Paris and have sex with women who are not the person you're supposed to be with? Because those can be different things. I think we should talk about why people say that Hemingway is a macho guy. Because like, before I got into this, I couldn't exactly tell you. I knew that he had this like reputation of masculinity, but like there are specific things that people turn to for why he's masculine.
He was an extremely outdoorsy guy. He was always going camping, and he would bring, and this was a part of his PR campaign. There were a lot of photos of him in nature. He had this like beautiful relationship with nature, although he didn't write about nature as much as a lot of other authors did in a poetic way. He spent physically a lot of time testing his own physical limits in nature. He was fishing. He was obsessed with bullfighting and hunting.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, which is like bullfighting. Okay, first of all, fucked up. Call PETA, even though they're fucked up.
Fuck bullfighting.
Fuck PETA.
Because if an important artistic man likes bullfighting, fuck that guy. Like that is the biggest red flag. Picasso, for reference, loves bullfighting.
Really?
Yeah, and it's
let me just say, I did have a Theo Juan, my uncle, second uncle, was a big bullfighter in Mexico,
and that's impressive, but that sucks. Like, and I respect your craft.
Whoa.
Yeah, well, he signed up for the scar. Like he got into a ring with an angry animal for no reason.
Shout out Theo Juan.
Like, that was nuts. You shouldn't have done that. Like that's crazy.
It's hard because also both things are true. It's like that was nuts. You shouldn't have done that, but the second she's like, he has a scar from a bull, I'm just like, what? I want to see the scar.
It's actually sick, and there are a lot of framed pictures of him at my grandmother's house of him like dressed like this king almost, because people were like, oh, Tío Juan.
I'm so glad we brought bullfighting up. Okay. He wrote an entire book on bullfighting called Death in the Afternoon. And critics, like, the book comes out and critics are like, hey, bullfighting sucks. Like, he gets like lightly canceled because everybody's like, why are you glorifying bullfighting?
Okay, progressive.
So progressive. And this iconic critic writes about writes about the book about bullfighting and is like basically says some of the early criticism of what has now become like widespread about Hemingway today, which is he's like, this guy is just trying to be macho, and clearly he's like going around with fake hair on his chest because he's so insecure about how everybody, like, clearly he's so insecure about his masculinity that he's writing this book about bullfighting and he has fake hair on his chest and he's just like such a poser.
A chest
Did he
hair
actually have
toupee?
fake hair on his chest?
No, and part of the reason we know he didn't have fake hair on his chest is he sees years later, sees this critic and is like, who are you to challenge my masculinity? And rips open his shirt to prove that he has real chest hair.
To be fair, I would do the same thing. Ripping your shirt open to be like, I have chest hair, you liar, is so funny.
That's like, I'm
That's so
obsessed with that.
sad.
I think that, no, it's really pathetic, but it's really like...
It feels like a kindergartner being like, I can ride this bike. I'm going to get on it right now. Getting on and falling right off immediately.
The critic's name was Max
love this.
Eastman, and Max Eastman, you are my king.
Grow
I
up,
remember
Hemingway.
hearing a thing in the podcast I listened to where they were like,
Yeah, tell
he
me.
would have friends. Anytime a friend visited him in Spain, he was like, you've got to see the running of the bulls. You've got to come to this. And he convinced a friend to do running of the bulls, even though he had never done it. He's like, I just want to see what it's like. And his friend got like seriously hurt.
Yeah, he got gored.
But he like never, I like the idea of like being afraid to do it yourself a little bit, but damn, he got gored.
He got gored, but also I'm like, how, if you're stupid enough to let somebody peer pressure you into like facing a bull, like, sorry, like, you're dumb. You deserve to get gored. Like, the fucking hubris to be like, oh yeah, this is a trained skill, but like, I'm just gonna go for, like, that is where I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
she's kinda
screw
right.
you. Like, you deserve what you, I'm team bull.
Yeah.
Team bull all the way.
That's how I feel about Jaws. All those guys that went out in the boat to go kill that
Team
big
shark, team bull.
I was like,
Team
dude,
shark, team
if these guys die, they're dumb as fuck. They saw it coming. It's like a bunch of high school guys who were like, oh, take this beat up piece of a chair up to the top of a hill and let's sled down it as fast as you can with your clothes off. Let's go and film the whole thing. It's gonna be sick.
Yeah, I feel
And
like,
then it's
I
like,
feel like
okay.
bullfighting is how we ended up with like Vine culture. It's like, why are
Did you say Vine culture?
Yeah, you know, like when people were like making the stupidest vines about like
Getting hurt.
About getting hurt.
Vine.
Yeah, it was like, first you have bullfighting, and then you have somebody like trying to run as fast as they can into oncoming traffic to see if the speedometer thing will like go
Oh
up
my
high.
God. Yeah.
I used to work for America's Funniest Home Videos. I was a screener for them, so I used to watch all
That
the
is
clips.
crazy
It was
lore.
pretty awesome. I used to
Wow.
watch all the clips we would get, and I would like summarize them and I would veto them or pass them on to the next round.
What?
And they were all people getting hurt.
just like
Yeah.
grievous injuries that are like, so we obviously can't show that on screen. Like,
And it's like, I don't want to see this all the
Yeah.
time. I quit because I didn't want to see people getting bonked on the head all the time.
So we're on Marriage 3, which is him and Martha. Martha is a writer. They go off to Spain. Their marriage starts to fall apart because it sucks. She has been writing in a magazine called Collier's, and he gets signed on there kind of pettily because this is like where she works, and she knows she's now about to be overshadowed by this man. They both write pieces during the Spanish War and send them to the magazine, but only his name ends up on the cover of the magazine for it, even though she's like slipping onto ships to talk to people. You know, she's doing more on the ground reporting, and he's kind of Hemingwaying his way about the war. Their marriage starts to like fall apart. They're supposed to go to England. She, even though they're fighting, gets him a plane ticket. And then she's like, I'm coming with you. And he's like, actually, no women allowed on the plane. Wasn't true. There were 2 actresses on the plane. So she takes a ship. She's the only like passenger on the ship.
It's a cargo ship?
It's like all, I think, weapons and military and her. And she's like,
So it's a cargo ship.
no, it's like an ammunition ship.
an
And this is
That's
during
worse.
wartime.
yes, they're taking ships because they know that the war is about to come to an end and they want to be there when it does. But yes, she is on a warship by herself. He took a quick flight, couple hours.
Put a woman on a boat with a bunch of guns and piss her off.
She's like, okay, thanks so much for leaving me here. He gets to England 11 days before her, meets his 4th wife. That's why you don't leave men alone. Yeah. And he also gets badly hurt, concussed even. She goes into the hospital. He is actually like quite badly hurt, but she goes into the hospital and he has like his head wrapped up and he's entertaining people. And she starts laughing because she's like, clearly you're not that badly hurt. And then she's like, I'm leaving you. It's over.
Oh, good for her.
And just like Picasso, he never fully gets over the fact that he got left instead of him leaving her. But it's fine because he just met his fourth wife.
Wait, was she? How'd they meet?
She's sitting basically at lunch on a date. She also like has a fiance who's not around. A lot of fiancés who are not around during wartime. Has a fiance who's not
That's
around.
Your first mistake. Yeah.
Have your fiance not at war and around.
All of these men are like, well, he's not in town. She's sitting at lunch, essentially on a date. And Hemingway knows the guy she's with and strolls by. A lot of meeting in person going on. Like, he walks by her and then he knows the guy and he's like, hey, why don't you introduce me to your companion who you're here on a date with? And he joins the league of suitors for her to like try to win her over, and then gets hurt very quickly. And so then he's like, oh my God, in the hospital. And so she starts bringing him. So first his wife shows up and is like, screw you, we're getting divorced. And then right on her heels, soon to be fourth wife shows up and is like, I heard you weren't feeling well at the hospital.
Whoa, yeah. What was her name?
Her name was, such a good question, Mary Welsh.
Mary Welsh.
Mare did it.
Mary, that's a cute little name you got.
This is an interesting like final stage wife for him because she's like the most aware of who he is, it seems.
Yeah.
And also was like, I mean,
and accepting.
Yeah, and she's like, listen, I was also cheating. You've cheated before. We're here now. Like,
but she said about this marriage, she was like, I used to be an entity and now I'm an appendage.
Oh.
Crushing. Mary, fourth wife Mary, is actually where like so much of the lore around Hemingway comes in. And one of the things is she wrote in her diary that he wanted his wife completely obedient and sexually loose.
Wow.
Cool. And
I don't even believe he like actually means that. Obedient, like you don't want that.
You just have a little bit of a power dynamic thing that you sometimes like. But here's where it gets interesting is that he said about her that she really wanted to be a boy. And when they were in bed, they would pretend that she was a boy and he was a girl. And they had names that they would call each other. So he would tell her, I think they were like, I'll call you Pete, you call me Catherine. That's what it was. Mm-hmm. People, I think, in 2025 are a little bit like, wait, seemed like a cool guy. It's because they were doing gender bending stuff in bed.
Interesting.
Mary is the wife that he went on a delayed honeymoon with to Italy. Got there. He's in his late 40s and is like, wait, that 18-year-old Italian girl is stunning. I must have her. And then was totally devastated when the 18-year-old Italian girl was like, no. But the 18-year-old Italian girl came to the United States to visit him with her mother, but never like but like was never interested in him. He was known by everybody as Papa, and he insisted that she call him Papa and that he would call her daughter.
No. Yeah. Horrific.
Yeah.
Okay, Hemingway. You
wow.
You
I just
bastard,
you. Delivering problematic facts about
this
him.
Is getting
I know. I just wanted to make sure all of that got out there.
Oh, it's getting worse.
He also was anti-Semitic and racist, just to make sure we're covering that. He wrote anti-Semitic characters and used racial slurs.
Oh my God. Okay, so this man loved to get married. Maybe he just loved weddings as much as I do.
Yeah, I get it, King.
He wanted to be, nobody invited Hemingway to their weddings, so he had to have his own. So he had 5.
Always the groom, never the groomsman. I was thinking about this with the marriage thing. Maybe it's like, getting married is like doing the most as far as like love in a relationship, and it's just going all the way, going as hard in the paint as possible. It's like there's nothing chill or casual in his life at all.
I also think it speaks to a real insecurity with him and with a lot of these men where it's like they can't handle that they might not be everything to someone. So even if that person is not everything to them, they're like, yeah, let's just get married because then I will be everything to her. Like, and so it's like, there's a reason that they're not doing it half-assed. And it's because if you do something half-assed, then the other person is also only halfway in it. Like they have no, and so I think he was like, okay, I'm going to fully commit because I might slip out of it, but that way that person is fully committed. And especially in a time where like marriage means a different thing, where like it's wartime and a lot of women are cheating on their fiancés, even cheating on their husbands. Like it implied a certain level of security over like an ownership over this woman and possessiveness that you weren't going to get if you just had an affair with her. So it was like, I'm going to marry her so she can't do anything else, or at the very least I know where she is almost all the time, and then maybe I'll continue on, or even if he doesn't cheat for a decade, it's like, at least I know what's going on with her, and then that way, like, even if I'm not sure, I can base myself on her certainty.
Yeah,
Totally.
And like Lady Brett Ashley, this figure that he even wrote about in The Sun Also Rises, he had this repetitive sense, like in that specific story, he made the romance sad and tragic, and it made it like at the end he just couldn't quite get her. There was some reason he couldn't have her, and I feel like he almost romanticizes that. And I think what makes a woman perfect is not being able to get her, or it not working out, or losing her. For some reason I feel like that's romanticized the same way. In a lot of like great novels, the mother figure or like this beautiful wife figure is like dies at the beginning of a book, and then she's like this prolific person and like this dead figure. And in a lot of children's books too, like this hero's mother died, and like his whole thing is his mother died or his wife died, and it's like this really tragic thing. And what makes her so unbelievably special is that she's not there.
It's such a good point.
And I feel like he kind of incorporated that into his writing.
My mom calls this the Disney problem, where she was
Yeah,
like,
the
when
Disney
I was
problem.
little, she would watch movies with me, and she's like, why are all the mothers dying in the first 4 minutes of
My
the
mom
film?
said the same thing.
All the moms are being wiped out. It's the Bambi problem of like, the important context is the mother's dead. Many orphan narratives.
All the American Girl dolls are orphans and had tragic backstories.
Samantha, I think, watched her parents die when a canoe capsized and their heads cracked open on rocks.
Yeah. Why
Like,
can't these
what the
girls,
fuck?
like none of those American Girl, one of them's got to be a spoiled brat. They're not telling us which American
Wait,
Girl
I can
doll's a
answer.
spoiled brat.
As a plot device, they're doing it because that way there are less adults to tell them no. Like it's the same with like the Hardy Boys or like all of the the Boxcar Children.
Oh my.
So I think we're gonna go into a little segment called "Who Would Heming Would Be Today."
Wow.
We want to touch on the different types of stereotypes and guys that we see in modern society that we've dated or recognized that we think Heming could be if he were alive in this era as a young man our age. And I'll start off. I think that he would absolutely be somebody who like moves to Montana or some remote location to get away from society, but is always like posting Substack articles and pretty present on the internet with the fact that he's like living on a farm and very performative about it. Hemingway today would be at the Silver Lake Meadows with a tote bag reading bell hooks.
I think he'd actually live in a city that's less like, that's not like New York or LA, but he'd like be part of like a writer scene in like St. Paul or something. Like he would like live in a city not on one of the coasts and then like be the biggest fish in that pond.
I see like podcast bro for him a little bit.
Yes.
Like definitely like to be a man you have to be like outdoorsy. Like to be a man like you have to like be dominant in your sphere. Like
And all that what we can gather from that is that podcast bros are also asking their women to treat them like girls in bed.
Kind of.
If you make too big of a stink about masculinity, something's
What's
up.
cooking?
What's going?
Yeah.
What's under there?
Hemingway today would like sit there and play guitar and want you to listen.
oh my god.
I also think he'd be a photojournalist who posts all black and white pictures on his
totally
Instagram. Like all black and white Instagram pictures, and they're with a high quality lens, but the photos are not that good.
They're not
like
that good. They're not
blurry
that
film photos.
groundbreaking. Or just like
Blurry.
a boob.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do that shit. I take naked pictures. What,
And like,
what about it?
It's like one's a boob, and then the next picture's like a curb
Yeah.
And then the next one is like a leaf.
Oh my god, he would definitely have the
on
kind
the
of
ground,
like male Instagram that's super like vague and just like actually moving car windows.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing. It's
Exactly.
just like a bunch of
link
junk.
in bio and
Yeah.
then no photos of his face.
Question I'd like to pose to you
Yes.
guys. Do you think, Hemingway would thrive more in this modern time where, like, for example, he could hypothetically be like poly or something like that? Or do you think at his core he's like wants to be maybe situationship to situationship because he always wants that like all in over?
I think Hemingway would have been more respectful to women now because I think he would get involved in situationships and not actually marry women, get them pregnant, and ruin their lives.
No, situationship can ruin your life, though.
Okay.
It can.
I agree. Situationships can absolutely ruin your life. I also think that in this modern day, like maybe he could be introduced to a poly relationship. And although I do think he's a very traditional man and would like to stick to traditional relationships, he could have more fun in his relationships and feel more inclined to see a therapist and to be exposed to all these things that allow men to kind of like be a little more sensitive and be more comfortable with themselves, whereas in the era that he lived in, men were taught to push down their feelings, go to war, and be extremely masculine. And that was what's cool. And that was what was trendy. And it was much harder for men to show emotional, vulnerable sides. So he had a point and there was a reason why he was proving his masculinity so intensely.
I think that Hemingway today is a guy 100% who's situationshipping it up, cheating on his situationships, like, and being like, but we never talked about it. It's been 2 years, but we never talked about it. Deeply mad, makes a huge fuss if she hooks up with someone else type thing. I also think he's a guy who experiments with his sexuality, but never really like departs in a meaningful way from his masculinity. Like, and that of course is complete conjecture. Like, who knows? But I feel like he would be like I think he would be a more fluid with experimenting with his sexuality and having situationships, but he would still go back to the fact that he was like broad shouldered and handsome and like, and rely on like the cred of like being like, a like literate white dude.
This is a segment. You're dating. You're dating a Hemingway if.
Okay.
And Caroline said so eloquently, the lowercase cat.
Yeah. He's the kind of guy who's sending you like sup, all lowercase.
Yeah.
And you're eating it up.
Yeah,
and
you're
going,
like, oh my god, I got the tag.
This is the thing about Hemingway, is that part of the masculinity thing about him is that he like used like he used like the least amount of words to convey the most meaningful message. It does feel like a very bro impulse to be like, like to say what you're feeling in the least amount of words possible. To be like, figure it out.
I think Hemingway did pride himself on the fact that as long as you had a high school education and you knew how to read, period, you would be able to relate to his writing.
Way more accessible.
Which is honestly something I do really admire about Hemingway's writing, is that he wanted it to be accessible to people of all different socioeconomic backgrounds.
Anyone know the band Pine Grove?
No.
It's a total like boyfriend band. I feel like he would be into this as fuck.
Pine Grove?
It's like kind of crunchy outdoorsy boy and like sad boy at the same time.
Okay.
Who's also been wronged by women.
Hemingway, verbally abusive, slapped his wife, problematic, like once put a picture of his then, I guess maybe girlfriend's husband, like his fourth wife, put her absent husband's photo up on the toilet and shot the toilet to pieces. Problematic man. That being said, kind of my type.
My type on paper, yeah.
Maybe 19-year-old me. 19-year-old me in college. And
he put a picture of his wife's ex on a toilet and shot it.
So this is Mary, his fourth wife. And I think at that time they weren't married yet. And he put a photo of her absent. I originally said his fiance. I think it was her husband.
Batshit
And
crazy.
shot it to pieces. By the way, when you shoot up a toilet, just in case it wasn't clear, it causes flooding.
Oh, thank you.
So
I
I flooded the apartment or
a good toilet.
Shooting a toilet. Also, how do you think of that? Shooting a toilet feels like a clickhole sketch.
And
that's like not real. It's an Onion article. Shooting up a toilet.
Gun reform now. Better gun legislation, because men shouldn't have guns to just shoot
Destroying.
up toilets when they feel like it.
You know you're dating a Hemingway if he calls you doll or something like that.
Oh my God.
Hey,
like
doll.
uses a pejorative, like nice thing.
Yeah, but it's like also kind of endearing, but you also like kind of
But it's a
like
little-
hearing it, but then it's like, ooh, why though?
Yeah,
Why you
it
say
toes
that?
the line of being a little bit too like little girly.
The final thing is, would we have dated him? And it doesn't need to be like, would you have like actually like, what is dating in 2020? No, it doesn't need to be like you would have been in a long relationship with him. It doesn't need to be anything like that. It could have been like one date. It could have been like you saw his profile and swiped away, like anything like that. But we go through like, if we would have dated him, and then if we did, what would have happened? I can start. I do think for me, would have seen him or heard about him and would have been like, writer outdoorsy, done, I'm so in. And then as soon as he was like, I like bullfighting, or was like, I heart animal cruelty, I'm about to go to Africa and kill lions, I would have been like, I hate you.
I feel like Hemingway, if I met Hemingway and if I dated Ernest Hemingway, I would be really in like, I think I would be very enchanted with Hemingway's aesthetic and his personality, and then once I talked to him I would be very charmed by him. And then after like getting to know him and realizing that his routines are kind of stupid and that his whole life is about aesthetic alone and like this aesthetic of masculinity, I would be like, oh, vision, like vision is shattered. Like this whole beautiful image and like this scary, intimidating man that he was is just shattered. And then now you're just a stupid guy.
I also think I would be like gagged by Hemingway at first. Like true charisma, like when someone can really work it like that, I love, and so hard to come by these days.
I know.
But my thing is, from guys in like the comedy scene, one of the things that bothers me the most is a man who's like a little bit like cocky about himself, and a little bit some of the way a man with 7,000 followers on Instagram will talk about himself like he's Joe Rogan
And his comedy.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, like the writer of our generation.
Yeah.
It's bad.
And you're like, oh, we're getting the cart before the horse type vibes. Yeah.
I feel like the less successful, the more pretentious and elitist.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. On my like show, we always say it's the comedians with like a medium level of followers that sometimes get like weird with us about like rules, and then like actual big people will be like, oh my God, yeah, thanks for having us. Whatever.
They're super chill.
Yeah.
Whether or not he admits it.
I think the biggest thing is like the takeaway when it comes to Hemingway is you can have truly once in a generation unbelievable levels of talent
and be a hottie.
And if you don't get some of your emotional stuff under control, it will not save you.
Yeah.
And it will destroy not only the lives of the people around you, but you. Like you can be amazing. It's not even so much like, can we separate the art from the artist, or can we like parse it apart? It's like he can't. For some of these men, blowing up or succeeding becomes infantilizing for them, because then they don't have to like the unemployed dude who suddenly does a self-help journey because there's just like nothing else to do in the day.
Yeah.
He's like finally has to hit the self-help journey part of unemployment.
Totally.
And so he like finally is like, okay, I guess it's time for me. Should I see a therapist, or like should I start volunteering, or should I start
like, just
journaling,
fermenting goat's milk?
He's just run out of hobbies.
Sauerkraut.
So he finally has to start like reflecting on his childhood, and like when you blow up as a young writer and then you get famous, and then there's always going to be another woman. You don't have to do the work on yourself to be like, I should call my mom,
You can fight with bulls.
Yes.
You can get in 2 plane crashes, and you still have to approach someone at a bar and be like, listen, I have hair on my chest. Okay? I do.
Look at it.
Look at it.
Okay, well, there it is. Hemingway.
Thank you for
Big
listening.
talker. Caroline, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my God, thank you
on
for
an
having
evening,
me.
on a weeknight evening, talking Hemingway.
Yeah,
and
this has
thank you for
been-
doing homework.
Episode
Oh my God, of
8
course.
of our podcast. Caroline, do you want to plug anything? Do you have any shows coming up?
Yes.
Caroline's a fantastic comedian, everybody.
You can follow my Instagram, caroline.timoney, or my TikTok at carol.ine3. And of course, my monthly show at the Hollywood Improv, Babe, stop.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode.
Thank you for coming to this episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of Dating History. I'm Analisa. That's Katie.
Bye. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Dating History. It's Katie here with the final fact check. So first, blimps are made not of rubber, but of polyester. However, the Hindenburg disaster was not with a blimp, but rather a zeppelin, which is a rigid structure. Hemingway was 19, not 18, when he met the nurse Agnes, who would inspire the character of Catherine in A Farewell to Arms. The friend of Hemingway's who he encouraged to get in the ring was not, in fact, gored, but was knocked down. Hemingway did, however, know many matadors who were gored, and if you get in a ring with a bull, you deserve whatever's coming for you. Anyway, that's all for the fact check. Thank you again for listening or watching this podcast. This podcast was created by Analisa Burns and Katie Massey. You can find us at Dating History on Instagram and Dating History Podcast on TikTok. Our podcast is filmed by Alec DeLand with sound by Sam Lederman. It's produced by Rookie Media. Our biggest source for this episode was Ernest Hemingway by Mary Dearborn, as well as the Ken Burns PBS documentary. Special thank you to the Los Angeles Public Library and the Octavia Lab. Please let us know who else you'd like to hear about in future episodes. You can send segment ideas and episode ideas to datinghistorypodcast@gmail.com. And have a good week. See you in 2 weeks when we cover a man who had the same initials as his wife and all of his children. Weird. Bye!